even Let's Go. Like, Let's Go was a fateful remake in terms of the way the game was laid out. I liked that art style more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just don't like the chibis. I don't like the chibis. I really don't.
Give you the chibi-jeebies.
Yeah, they do give me the chibis. Thank you. Oh. That was terrible. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the HGO podcast. I'm your host for today, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined with my good friends Hunter and Kyle. Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just swell.
You've dragged me out of my vaccine coma to do another one of these darn podcast episodes, but no, it's good to be here. I'm actually fine. That's the thing, is I'm not mad in the slightest, because I'm genuinely fine. How
are you feeling after the initial jab?
I literally had less. Touch wood. It's only been, when did I have it? It's been 2 days. So touch wood, I am fine. But yeah, I've had nothing. I had the sore arm. I felt a bit tired. I slept for 11 hours the day after. But other than that, I've been completely fine. Which is lucky, I guess. I don't know. All I have to prove that the vaccine was working or something was just a pain in my arm that was stiff. But I guess it'll be fine. But no. Unfortunately, you're not rid of me just yet, because we're here to talk about everything that we haven't talked about this week. We uploaded too much content last week. I can promise you will not get 3 videos this week. You might get 2. We'll see. But yeah, we hope that you've enjoyed. And hey, if you're only used to us uploading stuff on Mondays, good news. You have got 2 other videos that went out last week that you can go and watch. You've got us talking about Hades, which a lot of you have already listened to on podcast, and we really appreciate it. And also, we have Chris Tales review as well. Those both went up. But yeah, welcome back to the show. This episode, we're basically going to talk about everything we hadn't had a chance to talk about last week, which isn't much. We've got a load of demos to talk about. We've got the Tales of Arise demo. You two have played it. I kind of played. We'll get into it. I played the WarioWare demo. Yes, that'll be for something that we'll talk about for a little bit. Hunter has played 12 minutes, at least a little bit of it. Hopefully at least 12 minutes of it. So maybe we'll get some first impressions.
Yeah.
And then we'll also talk about the Pokemon news, because hey, if there's something that'll get in clicks, it's some Pokemon hate. So we'll jump in on the pile and start beating. I've actually got some positive things to say about Pokemon. A little bit anyway, at least. So we'll get into all of that. But yeah, welcome back to the show, where every week we come together to talk about everything we love in the world of gaming. Remember, you can find us on YouTube if you want to watch the video version at youtube.com/hotgamersonly. Or if you want to check us out on audio, you can go to Linktree. That's linktr.ee/hotgamersonly. You can find us on your favourite podcast service. Or heck, just go to your favourite podcast service, search for Hot Gamers Only. Chances are we're on there. Because I have yet to be told to add us on another one. The last one we had to do that for was Amazon, I think. And I think
that was
we're
like a year ago.
That was 8-9 months ago at this point, yeah.
Yeah. So I assume that we're in the clear. I think we're on everything now. Or if we're not, it's really small. I know we're not on SoundCloud because I refuse to pay for SoundCloud. And who listens to podcasts on SoundCloud? That's a weird one for me.
That was the whole reason we pulled from there anyway. It was...
Yeah, it was because 100 people listened into our first episode, and then no one did the rest of them. So we were just okay, that's weird. But hey.
I thought there were a few that gained a lot of traction for no reason.
Yeah, and then there was the classics, like the Spoiler Cast did really well, the Royal one and stuff like that. Some of them gained traction, but it wasn't enough to justify paying for it. But hey, if you guys want it, maybe we'll bring it back. If you guys really want it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, let us know in the comments, and then I'll get an idea of by how many people subscribe this week, how many people want us on SoundCloud. I can guarantee the answer will be 0. Or there'll be a subscriber and they'll specifically say in the comments, I just subscribed, I don't want SoundCloud. It'll be one or the other. We'll see. But yeah, where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start with 12 minutes because that's an actual video game? Shall we start with that?
I think that makes sense.
Sure.
I think it makes sense. I mean, we're not 12 minutes into the episode, but I'm sure that people will forgive us.
Hurry,
but you do only have 12 minutes to cover this section, so the time's already started. So, 12 minutes is the new point-and-click adventure game from... I don't remember his name. Should I look that up?
It's
I feel bad.
Louis something. I can't remember his
I know it's been published by Annapurna, if I'm correct.
It's published by Annapurna.
Stars
I can't remember the rest of the man's name.
I'm looking at
starring James
McAvoy,
Daisy Ridley, and
Willem
Dafoe.
Mm-hmm. Made by Luis Antonio.
Oh, okay.
There you go. I used my Casper vision to reach to that information. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, a ghostly presence is appeared in front of me. But now, new point-and-click adventure. You played a little bit of it, Hunter.
Yeah, I'm not very far in.
You've got to forgive us, because we've been doing so much this week that we haven't really had time to keep up with everything, so you're going to have to forgive us a little bit. But yeah, you played a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the premise? Give us the premise. Give me and Kyle the premise.
The premise is... I don't even know if they gave me the guy's name yet, but the guy that you play as... he's stuck in a time loop. Every 12 minutes, a cop shows up at his door, beats him up a little bit. Or anytime he leaves his apartment, he gets sent back to the beginning of the evening, is how it's been working. It started off like they had this cool little... the game definitely seems to be trying to invoke like movie influences in a way, just cinematically and all that. Like the thing started with just this shot of a clock, and it was going in reverse. I'm like, oh man. Well, if you didn't know what it was about, you probably would get an idea from watching that.
Yeah, the cover art for it is influenced by the works of Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, and David Fincher. So yeah, definitely classic movie inspirations for 12 minutes.
Yeah, but so far I played like 30 minutes of it, so I went through like, I don't know, I think he got reset like 5 times, which, some of that was just the way I was moving.
That doesn't add up.
That math doesn't add up. Yeah.
Okay. 12 times 5 is at 30. I mean, like, it doesn't. Can you fail?
It doesn't work in real time.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Though if you do pause it, you can't see how much like time is left in your thing, so that's cool.
Okay.
Like, for example, you can fail a little earlier. Like, the cop that beats you up. When he walked in on my second time, I grabbed a knife from the kitchen and just tried stabbing him. The second time he showed up, it didn't work. He punched me in the face.
Yeah, I should mention that the cop doesn't show up at 12 minutes. He shows up at like the 5 or 6 minute mark, from what I've seen. Yeah. So it is real time though. The whole loop does take 12 minutes. I should say that.
Oh, okay.
Should very much specify that. But if you sleep in the bed, it speeds the first couple of minutes up.
Oh, so right. Yeah. So I've been just kind of experimenting around, seeing what you can do, how you can speed things along. I haven't really made an actual super big attempt to like figure anything out yet. This trying to stab the cop thing was mostly for fun.
Turns out it didn't work, Cal. Turns out that wasn't the solution to the video game. Just stab it.
Correct.
Be funny if that was the solution. Could you imagine if that was the solution? Be like, I beat the game, nice.
Oh, damn short video game.
I don't know what these game journalists
no wonder it's called 12
about.
Minutes.
It was so easy.
No wonder it's called 12 minutes. It's over. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. But, yeah. So far, like, the little bit of dialogue I've been getting from the dude and the wife have been entertaining, at least. They've got a believable enough relationship dynamic going on. What else? Oh yeah, it's definitely adventure gamey in ways that will probably annoy people who don't play adventure games, and ways that I'm gonna have to get used to again. So for example, I walked over to the sink and had a cup, and clicked on the cup in my inventory. He just told me that it was an empty cup. You tend to think that if you're standing by the sink and clicking on a cup, you'd want to fill it. No, you have to drag it from your inventory to the sink to do that.
I've never been huge into adventure games. The one that I have played in full was Double Fine's Broken Age, which came out in like 2014, 15. I don't remember. It was the game that they did before Psychonauts 2, and spoiler alert, that comes out like next week, so it's been a while since that game came out. Because that game's been in development for like 7 years or something. Yeah. But I played that, and I remember liking it, but also there was like the 1 or 2 puzzles, and it's just like where they've got those stupid like combinations where it's like, it's not like, oh, I'm smart, I figured this out. It's like, oh, I have gone through every combination of spamming items in my life, and I finally found that it was the feather and the spoon that was the solution to this problem. And I'm like,
there are certain... even games that aren't puzzle games do stuff like that, where they have like Resident Evil puzzles or something like that, where they just like, well, this is the most video gamey collection of items ever. Like in Silent Hill 2, you need to make a handle for this door that's like busted, so you get like a horseshoe, a wax candle, and like something that sticks them together. I forget what the third item is, but it's the most dumb and video gamey combination of things ever. So yeah,
but yeah.
Also, like the range of, I can play it with a controller, but the way it works, it's just irritating. So I'm stuck playing it on the mouse and keyboard, which it's only a 5-hour or so game from what I understand. So, not 12 minutes, unfortunately.
Truly tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, people on Game Pass are going to think it's a hell of a deal, They're like, I was promised 12 minutes, get 5 hours. What a deal. But no. Obviously, you've only played a small amount of it. I've watched quite a bit of it because I was not willing to get Game Pass again on PC because I think Game Pass PC is awful with the way it works on PC. I don't know why. It's just so unintuitive that I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like, if you try and
around in the menu is really irritating.
Yeah, like trying to download games and it takes up your entire bandwidth on your computer, not just like a limited amount. And I'm like, okay, let me just set a limit. An Xbox app is like, I'm sorry, what's a limit? We're just going to take all your internet.
No, I don't think I will.
Yeah. So I've just been watching a lot of coverage. And for one, gotta be defensive, Luis, he's the only guy that's been working on this. He's been working on this for ages. It's a one-man show as far as I'm aware. There's been like mocap and Annapurna's put some funds in as far as I'm concerned. But for the most part, this whole game has been this one guy's passion project for a long period of time. But it does look a bit clunky. That's like the one thing that I've seen from a lot of the gameplay is not even just like dragging cup to sink. It's like the way that characters move around the room, and it's very weird. Yeah. It's a small apartment.
I definitely got like stuck between the door and the wife at one point, just being like clipping through. I'm like, oh, it happens,
Yeah, it seems very clunky. It definitely does have that kind of love it or hate it, point and click kind of mindset of, oh, of course, pick up the candles from the table. Will those be useful in 4 hours? Who knows? Maybe.
The first thing I did, just screwing around with what it was, that I took a spoon from the table and moved it over to like the stand that's next to the couch. No real reason behind it. I was just something I was doing. I'm like,
it's the solution to the loop.
Sure.
But no. It does
I'm interested to see how it plays out. Like, the whole premise is fascinating enough. So, if it plays out in a way that is at least entertaining to go through.
And I will say, if you do have any interest in playing this game, don't look anything up, because this game has been spoiled already to hell and back. I know the ending, and I know the whole story, and I'm not like, I don't know, backseat critic, right? I haven't played the game, but it sounds like a love it or hate it kind of thing, where I feel like some people will be like, this man's a genius, give him a fucking writing prize, he's incredible, and then some people will be like, what the fuck? And it's like, I feel like it's one of those spectrums of storytelling. But to me, I don't know, like, I can see it. Like, I was talking to you beforehand. This seems like a game that has really split audiences in a way that I haven't seen happen in a while. Because most of the time when you get controversies in video games, it's just like, oh wow, Cyberpunk shit, or oh wow, No Man's Sky shit. It's never really.
We were excited for this.
Yeah, or anything that does have contention is something like, I don't like Death Stranding, or I like Death Stranding, and it's not because the people that don't like Death Stranding don't think it's a terribly made video game. They just don't like the pace of the game and what the game's about. They're just like, it's tedious and boring to me. Whereas this game is in this special place of 12 minutes where there's a lot of people who are like, I loved it, I thought the puzzles were great, I thought the story was great, you guys need to play this. And then on the other side, you've got this other community that are like, I think this is the worst point-and-click adventure game I've ever played. The story's garbage. What the fuck is it? And I'm like, crazy how like it can split a room this much. And I've seen both opinions on the internet, and both are coming from valid people that have valid critiques and criticisms of it. So I'm like, man, I haven't seen this in a while. It's kind of interesting, especially because everyone was so excited for it beforehand. Like, I feel like this is one of the little sleeper games that everyone's been talking about this year.
Yeah.
But no, so, only a small amount of time. Are you enjoying it, Hunter, from the little that you've played?
Yeah, so far it's not like anything's happened where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I guess if I manage to screw around in the apartment enough and be like, okay, I haven't actually advanced, then I'll get a little tired of it, but I imagine that won't happen. I'm a pretty smart fellow.
I don't know if that's true. Kyle, do you...
No, he is.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay.
Hunter's the smartest one of us.
I'm offended.
Well,
but okay.
Start doing better.
I have a first class degree. I don't use it, but I have it. You know.
Yeah, so do I, dude. You're not special.
Oh man, maybe I'm the dumbest one. I don't have a degree.
Well,
actually, I technically don't have my degree yet. I've done all the requirements. They just haven't sent it to me. They just haven't sent it to me yet.
Giga brain. But no, glad to see you're enjoying it. And remember, it's on Game Pass. So if you don't feel like you want to chuck like 15 quid at it, you can go and pay whatever for a month of Game Pass. There's always the free trials going in the $1 for a month thing that they always do. So
that's how I did it.
Exactly. Plenty of ways to go check it out. I'll probably eventually check it out when I end up getting an Xbox for the fucking Bethesda games. Not Skyrim 10th anniversary though, because oh boy, they're giving that one away again for PS4. But no, plenty of ways to play it. And hey, let us know what you've been thinking if you've been playing 12 minutes in the comments or at us at Hot Gamers Only. We'd love to hear about what your thoughts are on 12 minutes. And with that, we've officially talked about 12 minutes for 12 minutes, and we're moving on.
Oh my god, we
genuinely was 12 minutes. I would like to give a round of applause to everybody.
Damn, you think we planned this?
I am definitely putting the timestamps will also show 12 minutes. Please,
you know what? Forget it. Just end the episode here.
Just end it here. We're done.
We peaked. We cannot go up from here.
12 minutes of 12 minutes.
Well, we talked about 12 minutes. We talked about a normie game that none of you care about. Let's talk about some weeb trash that more of you will care about, because apparently that's what we cater to nowadays. Kyle, Hunter, you have both played the demo for a little game called Tales of Arise. I also played the demo for about 3 minutes. So I am going to let you guys explain, but I'll ask you guys how much you played of it. I assume you just played through the demo once. You weren't lunatics that played through it multiple times.
I did, yeah.
But I'll explain my situation of I played it. The game was too complicated for me. My monkey brain was like, I can't handle this. I'm going to delete the demo and play a different demo for the podcast, which we'll get into in a little bit. So I'm going to hand it over to you. I guess I'll hand it over to Kyle because he brought this on our radar, essentially. So I'll throw it to you, Kyle. For all of the idiots like me that don't know what a Tales of game is, what is Tales and what is Tales of Arise? No pressure.
It's kind of hard to explain what Tales is. They're all like, I guess you could say it's kind of like Final Fantasy, where they're all pretty much disconnected from each other.
Yeah.
It's a long-running video game RPG series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
From Japan. Some might call that a JRPG.
Coming from Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco. You always know it's a Bandai Namco game because it blinds you, because they have the bright white intro with the fucking bright Bandai
yellow logo.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, my eyes. And it's like,
all the time. We got it with Scarlet Nexus too.
I remember it from the Scarlet Nexus demo. So essentially, let's get into what Tales of Arise is. So Kyle, throw it to you. What is Tales of Arise? It's obviously an RPG, but it's more of a action RPG than a turn-based one. Or
kind of. It's a lot more combat centric than other past Tales games have. The last one I have to compare it to was like Tales of Berseria on PS4. And moving your characters in the battlefield always felt kind of stiff, kind of limited. But this game, they gave you a lot more range on what you're allowed to do.
Yeah,
it's a lot
this
more
game,
of like a 3D. Kind of like Final
it.
Fantasy 15, I think.
Don't say that, Hunter will walk away.
Well,
do not mention that name in this house.
This world has personality.
It's not like as limiting in what you're able to do.
I get what you mean, because the other Tales games, at least off of my comparison, I've got a little bit of Vesperia, and then I played Abyss on the PS2, and it always felt almost like those fighting games that are like you can move in 3D, but they'll always end up facing each other in what looks like a two-dimensional
like your
plane.
Tekkens or Soul Caliburs.
Yeah, so like
also made by Bandai Namco.
Yeah, so like you can move up and down and around on the screen, but it feels a little wonky as opposed to just running back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, it's much more of like the action tilts.
Mm-hmm.
Say like similar to like sort of like Scarlet Nexus even as far as
for sure
the pacing of your movements and all of that.
But they've also changed how combat works from past Tales games, because before it was like you had to press like it was kind of like Smash Bros. In your special moves where you have like up, down, left, and right assigned to your moves. But in this game, it's just push, X, square, triangle, and those are your 3 moves you get for battle. And you can basically like string those together like combos.
Circle jumps, and then you have 3 other.
And then you get aerial attacks.
Yeah,
it's a lot more involved than I think past Tales games have been.
Yeah, I'd say so. Even though, as far as like JRPGs are concerned, Tales games have like the most involved combat out of.
Oh yeah,
a lot of them. It's a far cry from pushing a button on a menu and letting your characters do their thing.
That's definitely how I describe it. It's definitely involved, and that's what turned me off of it originally when I was trying the demo. Was, man, this game really wants me to try, and I'm like, I'm not about this right now. Like
I'm not about this.
Yeah, like when I play RPGs or when I'm playing like most single player stuff in general, I'm always of the attitude of I'm here to have a good time, and if I'm not in the mood to think about everything and be like Giga Brain, like examine the battlefield, data analysis, like enhance on that, I need to make sure I'm pixel perfect, frame perfect. I'm like, I'm not about it. And I know the game is probably way more lenient, but when you have a combat system that is like that, it's intimidating enough in the first place for me to just turn off it entirely.
I also feel like the demo does a bad job just contextualizing everything. Like, it just drops you into middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you just got dropped into an area and was like, here. And I was like, okay, well, figure out where to go.
There's no real, like, build up to anything.
Yeah, it was just like a spot in the game that they're like, I guess this is what we're going to make
this
our
seems
demo.
Good.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where, obviously, comparing 2 demos from the same publisher, Scarlet Nexus, I think Scarlet Nexus did a way better job of showcasing what the game was for new players, because not only was there a tutorial mission at the start where it went through all the moves in a way that wasn't just here's 15 walls of text and then a massive UI that just has way too much information on it, and then it gave you 2 separate levels which were kind of early levels in the game, and you could kind of get an idea of where it was, whereas this game just kind of goes, pick a character without any real information other than which one do you like the look of, cool, hop in, here's a load of fucking text, a random area, go for it. And I'm like, turning it off instantly. But I'm not the audience anyway for Tales of Arise. You two are much more their target audience. What were your impressions of it then, overall? Positive?
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually.
You were messaging saying that you enjoyed it more than you thought you would.
Yeah, like beforehand, Tales of Arise was landing in the similar mind frame that I've had every Tales game since the one that I played was oh, that looks cool, can't wait to play it someday. And now after playing this, I'm like, I might pick this up after closer to when it comes out, like after Deathloop and Life is Strange. So I've got like a solid couple of weeks before Metroid would be coming out.
There's games coming. There are games coming, whether you like it or not. There's like at least 3 of them.
We're past the August drought.
Yeah, I mean, there's been something, and there's like Hades re-release and Ghost of Tsushima re-release, and probably something else re-releasing. But yeah, it's been a bit of a slow month. Kyle, what were your overall thoughts on Tales of Arise from the demo?
So, Tales games have always been kind of hit or miss for me. Usually I end up really liking the story, but it's the gameplay that I'm not really too big on. I think that's why I keep not finishing Berseria. And I don't know, this demo didn't really do it for me.
Okay. Well,
fact that it, like I said, the fact that it just drops you nowhere and with no context, like, and no like backstory to any of the characters, it's like, okay, I get it, but
I mean, I didn't know what their backstory was, but I got the dynamic that they have with each other from their like conversations, and that was good enough for me, because the series is really good at creating fun party dynamics.
Oh,
from
for sure.
The little bit of experience I had.
Mhm.
All the party members in Tales of the Abyss were a lot of fun. The little bit of Vesperia I played had great little interactions where they're playing off of each other. So if this game's got more of that, then it'll be good enough for me.
Yeah. I don't know,
But
to me
nah.
it just feels like the demo didn't do the best job of showing off the characters.
That's fair enough.
And that's what I was gonna. I think you bring up a really good point. Of I feel like this was a Tales demo made for people that like Tales, so that they confirm that they like
The people that were
Tales, so
already
that they
gonna buy
purchase
it.
it.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, the point of making a demo, for example, with Scarlet Nexus and stuff like that, is to get people like me who don't know franchises or don't usually go for these kinds of games to play it and go, "Oh shit, that's really fun. I'm gonna eventually pick that up, or I'm gonna pick that up at launch." Whereas this demo, to me, is the example, and Nintendo makes these demos a lot, where it's just like they just chuck in they're like, fuck it, this part of the game, where they just chuck a random blob in, go, oh, you love it now, buy it. I'm like, no, like there's no context. You just drop us in. You don't even like go out of your way to make it like have a tutorial stage in your game that you can play it. Then there's just mounds of text where it's like, oh, I have to read a terms of use length statement to figure out what the combat system is. Or the other option is to do what Hunter did and just mash through it and go, I'll work it out, which I don't think is equally a good system because then the game's failed at its tutorial system. And it's like...
To be fair, I'm pretty sure I do that with games that have good tutorials too. It's just how I learn.
I'm just saying it's not the answer. It's not the solution to a game's problem.
The time for talk is
It's
over.
time to push
now I
buttons.
push buttons.
But no, I'm sure the game's going to be great, and I'm sure people
Oh,
are really
definitely.
will really like it who are into it. But for a newcomer, it did nothing. The game looked nice, but at the same time, it's like I feel like we're at that point with PlayStation 4 and definitely with PlayStation 5. I think we're at a point now where anime games will just look like anime games, and I feel like we've hit that point, you know, where it's like I see Persona 6 coming out and it just looking like a sharper, nicer Persona 5, and you look at the new Tales games
unless
and
they
look
come
like
up with
a nicer,
like
sharper
visual style
Yeah.
to separate itself. I know what you mean.
If they're just going for anime aesthetic, I feel like we've reached the power level of consoles now where they will look like anime. Like, it's just, that's the thing, right? And that looks cool. But from a gameplay concept stage, at least for me, didn't do it for me. Whereas Scarlet Nexus did. And I still need to pick up Scarlet Nexus at some point. But the games are raining down soon. So hopefully one day I will. But yeah. At least you enjoyed it, Hunter. And hey, we'll probably have some first impressions when it comes out. Or close to when it comes out.
Not when it
least.
comes out.
Yeah. When's it out?
September 10th. So
that's Life is Strange time.
Yeah, the same day as Life is Strange.
Is it the same day as Life is Strange?
Yeah, like same day as that.
Oh, it
is.
is. It is the same.
4
day
days
as Life is
later,
Strange.
Deathloop is out. So I'm like, okay, both of those are going to be shorter. I'll play those first.
On September 10th, we've got Life is Strange True Colors, Tales of Arise, and the game Ethan played a demo for.
Oh, that's a great segue. That is actually also, yeah, it was coming out the same day. So yeah, while you guys were being absolute weebs playing this absolute degenerate game called Tales of Arise, I was playing the absolute chaddest game that is available to play right now. I was playing the Sigma male video game, WarioWare, whatever the fuck the tagline is. I don't know. Is it Get It Together?
Get It
I think
Together.
it's Get It Together. Yeah, it's Get It Together. I played the demo for WarioWare because, like I said, just had my second COVID vaccine. If you've had your COVID vaccine, you'll know that the one effect that everyone gets is, God, my arm fucking is dying, and you're just like, what's your range of movement? And you got like Minecraft movement where you can like move to like here, and you're like, I'm good. This is as far as my arms are moving for 24 hours. So my arm was killing, and I was like, I don't really want to play thinking games. I'm just gonna play WarioWare. I was like, fuck it, you know. I've talked about my concerns for WarioWare, so I thought I'd play it. And I'd recommend, if you're into WarioWare and you think you want to, play it. And if you are thinking I might be into WarioWare, but I don't know if it's for me, also play it, because you'll probably do what I did, where you play it and enjoy it and go, I think this demo gave me enough for me not to buy the game. We'll get into it. But no, if you play WarioWare is a franchise which I'm sure everyone knows, or at least has interacted with at some point. You might not have owned it, but you might have had a friend that had it. I did. I remember playing it at Christmas at a random friend's house on his Wii. The Smooth Moves, was it? I think it was Smooth Moves. And it was fun as hell because it's a party game. It's like you like either pass the Wii emote between mini games, or it was like they had multiplayer modes where you would go out, like you'd face each other off in a battle, and you'd have live systems. It was a load of fun. And they usually have a gimmick related on the console. So Wii, it was all about the Wii emote. It was like point at the things, or throw the dart, or swat the flies. A load of movement based kind of things. The DS version was all about the stylus. Was all about using that second screen to do stuff. It's been quite a good tech game for the consoles that it's come out on. And I feel like this is pretty late for a WarioWare to come out, but I also believe that the WarioWare that came out on 3DS was also super late into its life cycle. Usually, I thought that it'd be like an earlier one, because it was like WarioWare... Oh, was there two WarioWares on 3DS? I know there was a gold one.
There was one WarioWare on 3DS?
Okay. It was gold, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was asking a question.
Yeah, that was a question mark.
Oh, sorry. Let me look this up. Yeah, it was called WarioWare Gold, I believe. There was definitely one on 3DS. But
it didn't come out the same year the Switch did.
I love how I went to Wikipedia. I went to Wikipedia and it said, I typed in WarioWare and the thing that comes up is Wario bracket series. It's not even WarioWare. It's just Wario. List of WarioWare games. There's a separate. I'm literally going to punch someone at Wikipedia for this one. Yeah.
When you punch them, tell them to install a dark mode on their website.
The light.
Wow.
Wow. So WarioWare WarioWare Gold there was only one, and it came out in 2018 on the 3DS. It was a late one.
2018.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They were still making 3DS games in 2018.
Yeah, and everyone was asking why.
Right. Here's my point. I was right, by the way. I was absolutely right. WarioWare Touched was released on the DS in 2004, very early in the DS's life cycle. WarioWare Smooth Moves, 2006, within the first year, early 2007, again, very early. Usually it's a good tech demo-y kind of game that kind of gets people the idea of what the console's potential is. And again, they were super late with Gold, to the point where the 3DS was basically dead, and they were just like, fuck it, chuck a WarioWare on there. And now here they are again, where it's super late. We're 5 years into the Switch's life cycle, getting there, and it's like, oh shit, here we go, WarioWare game. The gimmick this time around is they realised that they used all the gimmicks in 1-2 Switch, so they've gone for a different approach.
I made a joke about this the last time we talked about WarioWare. I'm like, they should have just made 1-2 Switch a Wario game.
Yeah.
100%. It should have been. And it probably would have been more fun as a Wario game. Instead of this live action kind of weird game where there was a load of fucking just actors going, let's do drawing.
I don't actually know that much about Wario, but it seems on brand for him to have
milk the
milking
cow,
cows
it's
in his
high
game.
noon, pew pew. Like, no. But no. So the whole idea is you've got like this game, and to be fair, I'll give them credit. It is more of a WarioWare game than I thought it was. I just thought it'd be like characters on screen, you choose your favorite, they all play the same. No, the idea of this game is that Wario has created a new video game, and the video game console kind of has an error, and it sucks them all into the video game, and they've all become these video game characters in Wario's own sick, twisted micro game.
Nice.
He made his own version of the new Jumanji.
Yeah, basically, Wario made WarioWare Jumanji and then yeeted himself inside of it with all of his friends. And so every character plays different, and you basically, the whole idea is there's like different ways where you will either you can play single character, or you'll switch between like a group of 3 characters, or you can play as the whole rotation. And essentially, each character plays different. So, for example, Wario has a jetpack, and he flies around everywhere, and he punches things. So, if you've got the micro game pluck the armpit hairs out of the randomly buff guy that shows up, then your goal as Wario is to move him into a place where you can punch the hairs off the person's armpit, right? Simple as that. Then there are other characters, like, I don't remember what the DJ character is. We've all seen him, like the mix guy. There's like the musician kind of character. He, for some reason, has a disc on his head that when he's completely stationary, but when he throws the disc, another one appears, so he just has like loads of discs that he can throw. So his whole thing, if you were doing the same micro game, is he sits in the middle of the screen. So it'd just be spam discs at the correct areas in different ways. And that's how it works. Every character has a different unique moveset, which is quite interesting. But it very much is WarioWare. There's micro games, you do it. But instead of you doing stuff like I say, like doing a cowboy shootout and pulling the gun up, or swatting a fly, it very much is do the thing, but button movements on the Joy-Cons with a random character on the thing, and it works. But I got it, and there's some cool mini games. They've done a lot of cool stuff. Like there's a load of references to other Switch games and other Nintendo games. Like there's a fun mini game where it's the victory results screen from Splatoon, and it's the two cats doing the who's gonna win, and you have to quickly assess the map and choose which side is gonna win, so that you get the right answer, which I think's a cool one. There's also like an Animal Crossing one where you've got to shoot the balloons from the thing. There's a load of there's a load of Nintendo related micro games. But it is WarioWare, but I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the charm's kind of gone from it being on the system. Like, the cool thing about WarioWare to me was, it's doing stupid stuff with the touchscreen, or it's doing stupid stuff with the Wiimote where I had to do, like, a stupid yoga pose, like, super balanced to try and stay alive. Whereas this game's just like, make Wario punch some things, because it's like, every character only has one way to interact with things. So it's always punching, or if it isn't punching, it's like escape through the maze, and it's just moving the character in the correct way, or pushing the ball into the hole. It's like, it feels like the charm isn't there, and the game's extremely charming, but the gameplay charm isn't there. It's like the visual appeal of WarioWare is there in all of its glory, where it's stupid stuff, like I said, plucking hairs out of someone's armpit and doing random stuff like that, beating all the food off the kid's plate except for the piece of candy, weird stuff like that. So, but like from a gameplay perspective, it just isn't there for me, to the point where after I played half an hour, I was like, yeah, it's WarioWare, but I think I've played enough of this for me to not have to pick up the full game for £50 or $60 and go, yeah, I've had enough. Like, I've had my fill. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've never grew up. Like, I know there's some massive WarioWare fans. You know what I mean? You've seen them on Twitter. You've seen the fuckers that are like, "Where's WarioWare?" Yeah. I'm not one of them. I think it's like a cool game, but not enough for me to justify full price. And I don't know. I feel like my best recommendation is just play the game. Play the demo. It's free. See if you like it. But to me, it's just WarioWare. But it just feels, I don't know if I like the gimmick as much. It works better than I thought it would, but I don't know if I like it that much, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But hey, try it out. Demo's free. And with that, I think have we gone through everything? Have we gone through all the demos and all the things that we have to talk about, except for
all the demos and such, yeah.
The news? Well, from one Nintendo title to another, I guess. Shall we talk about everything that's been happening in the wonderful world of Pokemon?
You said that, and I heard it echoed as the anime's narrator.
I'm just gonna put Pokemon impressions, and I'll figure it out later. But no, so Pokemon had a Presents. They're not directs, are they, Kyle? They are Pokemon Presents a Tragedy.
Yeah, Pokemon Presents.
Yeah.
Never actually presented by Pokemon either. There's just real people talking.
It is. It would be funny if they just came out with just one of the Pikachu costumes or whatever.
I know, right? That'd be great.
Dude, bring back Professor Clefairy from the Pokemon Stadium games.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, so Pokemon had its Presents, and they showed off some stuff to do with Unite. I think we're all free to give a glance over it, because I'm sure people that like Unite, but I've played like a tiny bit of it, and I don't really care about it. Did you try it, Kyle?
No.
Cool.
That's
and
not
I know for sure
genre.
Hunter didn't.
Yeah, it's what, a MOBA, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
But they talked about that, and then they got into the two games that they showed off in February, I believe. Was it last we saw them? February? I think that sounds right. It was very early this year. It was the earliest they ever showed Pokemon games, and man, did it show. But they came back again with two new trailers. One for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I still think that those names are so stupid, but hey ho, here we go. It's as if they came up with the Brilliant Diamond and then were like Shiny Pearl, like
Shiny.
Shining Pearl, I guess. Like weird names, but they showed off more of those remakes, and then they also showed off Pokemon Legends Arceus. So which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with BDSP? Is that what we're gonna have to start calling them? BDSP?
That's the abbreviations.
Yeah.
Very close to something else, but you know.
Careful not to misspeak.
So guys, about BDSP. Let's get started, I guess. I don't know. We were all pretty, like, I remember talking about it on the podcast when they were announced, and I believe we gave them a hard time.
You and I were the only ones on the episode,
somehow
which was the
happened.
Hilarious part.
Was it just us two?
It was just you and me. A guy who doesn't like Pokemon that much, and a guy who hasn't actually played one since Silver.
Yeah,
to be fair, good one to end on.
I would like to specify in front of the jury that I do, in fact, like Pokemon. I just think it's a casual game for children and people that grew up with it and shouldn't be taken as seriously as the internet takes it. That is my opinion on Pokemon.
You actually understand what it is.
Yeah, I understand the demographic that they're going for and don't understand why people cry on the internet.
You are free.
Yeah, I'm free of the pain and usually have a decent enough time when Pokemon stuff comes out. But even I was a bit negative about Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl. Obviously, we've had this conversation before where I personally believe that the point of doing remakes of Pokemon is to bring that generation into parity with the current generation. So when you got Fire Red and Leaf Green, it was you can compare it to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. They have the same art style, they have the same their visuals, they have the same kind of aesthetic going for them. They have visual parity
with each other.
Yeah, they have visual parity. Same with Heart Gold, Soul Silver being the same, having parity with Gen 4. Same with Oras
Ruby
having parity with Gen 6. And then here we go. And I think the main reason that I'm butthurt is because even though I played Ruby and Sapphire were my first Pokemon games, like Gen 3 was my first generation of Pokemon, but Gen 4 was my generation of Pokemon, which is the generation I played the most. I was like, when did they come out? 2006?
6.
Yeah, I was like 9 years old. This was peak Ethan playing Pokemon age, where he was old enough to understand what he was doing, but young enough to waste too much time on it. And I loved those games. And forever, I've been thinking, ever since the Switch was announced, and I knew that Pokemon games were going to be moving to Switch, I'm like, this is probably going to be the time. This is going to be the console that we get the Gen 4 remakes on, and they're going to be HD. And then when I saw Sword and Shield, and I saw that the wild area looked jank as fuck, but everything else looked pretty decent, and I was like, Gen 4 is going to look really cool in this style. And then it just isn't, because they're just like, nope, outsource, weird chibi replica. And I'm like, oof, I don't like it.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know. How did you feel about the art? Did you dislike the art style when you saw it, Kyle?
Dude, I was there with you when we watched the trailers with me, you, and Jack. We all just started laughing at how it looked.
That was the reaction.
I thought it looked ridiculous, and I still am not a fan. I've gotten used to how it looks now, but I'm still not.
That is my thought on it. Is I have grown. It's been months now where I have basically come to the realization that obviously we're not getting the Gen 4 remake in the style of Gen 8. I see those graphics and I'm basically like, I accept that this is what we're getting. Doesn't mean that I love it though. Like I still dislike it.
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah, my hopes and dreams. Goodbye. I will admit though, it does look better. Especially from its original showing. When it was originally shown, the contrast was drawn out. It looked really fucking odd. All of the textures looked really weird and terrible. The battles looked super barren, and the environments looked ugh. And now here we are, a couple of months away from release, and they fixed like the color tones look a lot more like the originals. The environments, fair play to them, do look a lot more densely packed and more detailed. The battle screens look a lot better. I really like how they are going all in with like the text boxes being the same like style and everything. And even I don't know if that many people have noticed it, but the battle screen, they're using the same fonts and the same kind of like art style that the buttons were on Diamond and Pearl as well. So they've really gone into detail, like the little Pokeball icons that show how many Pokemon each trainer has, same icons as Gen 4. They've really gone into it. And I'm getting used to the art style. I think it looks a lot better. But every time I see this game, in my head, I'm just thinking, oh, what we could have got
It
if
could
they
have
tried.
been better. It could have looked a lot better.
I don't know.
than
What do you think of this second trailer, Kyle? Did it look better to you? I think it did, personally.
I think it's definitely an improvement over what we saw back in February?
Early February. Yeah.
March. I don't if it was so long ago.
It was like,
but yeah, it definitely does
February.
look a lot better. And they also showed off a lot of features that I'm sure people have been waiting to see if they'd be coming back. Stuff like contests in the underground area. All that's coming back. Pokeball decorating.
Stickers.
I'm surprised. I forgot that was a thing, and I was like, oh, they've brought that back? Okay, cool.
It was only in Gen 4.
Yeah.
And
we gotta pray for the Platinum post game. That's the one thing that I'm like. Imagine if this one is the one that has the post game. You know, out of all the remakes,
if this game has the Battle Frontier in it, I'm gonna
Frontier.
genuinely be upset.
I'm not
I'm
a
gonna
betting
be upset
man.
for ORAS.
I'm not a betting man because I don't like risking money. But if I was a betting man, I would 100% put money down on the outsourced developers or the developers that put the Battle Frontier in. I 100% believe. If you were like, you paste money on that right now, I would put money on the Battle Frontier is in this game because I believe that
$10.
That's a lot of money, Hunter. That's a lot of money. I honestly do think it is, and there's some cool stuff that they've added. Like to the underground, the fact that if you put different statues in your base, it'll unmask these Pokemon dens, which are like Let's Go and the wild area where you've got Pokemon roaming these areas and you can just go up to them and catch them. It's going to make fire Pokemon a lot more available in Gen 4, which is going to be a nice
and the statues,
touch.
from what I understand, the statues dictate what you're going to find.
Yeah,
so like in the trailer, they showed you can find a Munchlax in these caves, which anybody who's played Diamond and Pearl original know that there's only like you can get Munchlax from the honey trees, and there's like 2 in the whole game that give you Munchlax.
Yeah.
At like a 1% encounter rate. So they at least like are making it better to complete your Pokedex.
Mm-hmm. And like I think the developers that they've handed it off to, which obviously I believe is a small team, I feel like they're trying. I feel like for the directive that they were given, it seems like they're trying. Like, genuinely. Mm-hmm. Like, it's gone from me going pee-pee poo-poo, fuck you guys, I'm off, to I will give you guys a chance, and I might not like the art style, I will probably give you guys a chance, but just because I like Diamond and Pearl. I'll give you a chance, and hey, surprise me, maybe you'll please me with how faithful it is. But I don't know. The one thing that I'm like, oh, cool, they're doing all this stuff, and they are really caring, but at the same time, I'm like, what is the point of Pokemon if we are just remaking it like this? Like, what is it just? Are we just doing remakes now to get out of pixel art? Is that what we're doing? Are we just going to get the Gen 5 remakes and then that's it? We fucking wipe our hands clean and go, bye-bye, that's it, like, we're done? Like, I don't understand.
We're not doing the remakes for competitive because they said that Sword and Shield are still going to be the competitive game.
I feel like that's smart, though.
Yeah,
I genuinely do feel like that's the smart call. With, obviously, I feel like with Diamond and Pearl being like a faithful remake / remaster, it's fully redone, but it's essentially a remaster with what the content that they're pulling. A remakester? I don't know what we're calling it. Arceus is this weird fucking behemoth child that doesn't know what it wants to be, so that'll just stay in the corner. We'll get to it in a second. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I was positive, but I'm also still bitter. That's my thing. I'm just like bitter old man going, this wasn't what I was promised when every other gen up to this point got an actual remake.
That meme of the dude standing around at the doorway of the party, feeling like they don't know, and then whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's like even Let's Go. Like Let's Go was a faithful remake of Yellow in terms of the way the game was laid out. I liked that art style more. They could have done it in
that's
the
a good
Let's Go
point.
art
They have
style.
a better art style there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird chibi thing.
I just don't like the chibis. I don't like the chibis. I really don't. The costume editions are cool.
They give you the chibi jeebies.
Yeah, they do give me the chibi jeebies. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, that was terrible.
Delightful.
I liked it.
Of course you did. But yeah, I don't know. Like the costume changes are cool. Thank God you can get the male character out of that hat because that hat on the chibi looks so dumb that I'm just
both
like,
of their hats look dumb. I never liked either of their hats.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm hopeful. I will give it a chance. But I was much more interested in the other game that they showed, which is Pokemon Breath of the Wild. Let's get into it. It's Pokemon Legends Arceus. The game that can now be we can happily report doesn't have character models running at like 5 frames a second if they're 2 meters away from you anymore. They fixed it. I still can't believe they showed that first Arceus trailer.
I know.
It was so bad. Why the fuck would you show it? Like, genuinely. With the 5 FPS chime echo just fucking flying around going, look at me cruise, bitch. I'm like at 2 FPS. But no. I'll throw it to you, Kyle, and then I'll throw it to you, Hunter. I assume you've seen the trailer, Hunter.
Yeah, I watched the trailer.
Cool. What did you make of the little showing of Legends Arceus?
Hisuian Growlithe is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Seconded.
Yeah, he's very fluffy. What type is he? Do we have a type confirmation?
I think they said that its coat was like rough, like rock. So I think it's like fire rock.
Oh, okay.
Or just rock. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't think they really confirmed anything, but I think that's what I remember hearing.
I mean, I'll look it up, but I'll go back to Casper mode. I'm sorry, video.
Just
watching.
go to Cerebi.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
going
dark
to.
mode.
But anyway, what were your thoughts anyway?
No, I think the game actually looks a lot better than how it initially looked. Because, going back to when we first saw it back in February, like, I was just like, this is probably just like, I'm just gonna wipe my hands clean of Pokemon forever. I guess it's time for me to move on. But, Legends Arceus, this new trailer, it's kind of surprised me. And I like a lot of the new Pokemon they showed. Stantler's getting a new evolution. Basculin is getting a new evolution, which had a dope name, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
Narration to go with it, like it evolved by feasting on the souls of its
dead
friends. I was like, huh, fascinating.
Absolute badass. But yeah, Stantler got an evolution.
Growlithe is Fire Rock type.
Got it.
What did you? Stantler's got an evolution.
Yeah, it's like Weirdeer or something.
Wideer, yeah, which is normal psychic.
And then Braviary also got a new form.
Flying psychic.
Flying psychic.
Yeah. And then one of the new regional evolutions is Basculegion.
Basculegion, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is a water ghost type that is possessed by the spirits of dead Basculin.
Yeah.
That's a cool type.
Yeah. But no. Hunter, what do you think? As a Breath of the Wild fan, and not a Pokemon fan.
Not a
did
Pokemon
this
fan.
Yeah, did this do anything for you? Well, let's be real. Let's be real. This is Pokemon going, I see your homework. Let me copy it.
Yeah, well, it looks cool enough. It looks different. At least it looks different than the other things I've seen from Pokemon for the past several years that I haven't played them. So if I were going to pick one up between this and the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, it would be this, but I'm not going to hold my breath for picking this one up either, really. It's not that I think it looks bad, it's just one of those things where I thought I was going to pick up Sword and Shield maybe when that came out, but I decided, nah, don't feel like it. So it's just one of those things where it looks cool, and I hope that people who have been wanting an open world Pokemon game for the past forever, it seems, enjoy it, but it hasn't hooked me in a must get kind of way.
Yeah, Like
I like
whole...
that the
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Pokemon can just straight up attempt to ice the trainer, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was a fun
that's
part
amazing.
of the trailer.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, by the way, you're just gonna fucking die in this
Yeah.
game.
Ash throwing hands with Mewtwo.
Yeah. I love all the memes of like the past like versions of Dawn being like having to fight like a giant Ursaring like in hand-to-hand combat, and then it's like current Dawn is like, oh, there's a Bidoof in the grass on Route 2, I gotta go get help. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I saw
Yeah.
one thing that was like somebody put the Xenoblade unique monster banner above one of them.
Yeah. But no, my impressions were, man, it looks interesting. There's some cool stuff here. It still has that problem where I don't know what it is about Game Freak's Pokemon engine, but I feel like it really needs a refresh or just a complete redo, because I don't know why, but all Pokemon games, this includes Sword and Shield, by the way, Sword and Shield and now this, just for some reason look particularly awful compared to most other Switch games. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at Legends Arceus and if you look at Sword and Shield, and then you look at games like Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion, and I'm like, these don't look like they're on the same console, like, at all. Like, and I don't get why. We'll get into that conversation about graphics and art design in a bit. We'll get into it. I'll get my impressions of the game out first before we go on a fucking wild ride. So hold on, kids. But no, my whole impressions were, it looks cool, it looks interesting, but what's the grab? Like, that's my thing is it's like, you're helping complete the Pokedex. I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's like,
that's every game, though.
That's every game, right? But it's like, I've seen it, and it's like, to complete the Pokedex this time around, it's not just catching a Pokemon. It's like doing stuff like using moves with it 20 times and doing like certain evolutions
They
with it.
made it
X
more
amount of times.
tedious?
Yeah, they made it more tedious. And
Oh
I'm like,
no.
is this the gameplay loop? Is it, we've just made a world and there's Pokemon roaming around and there's some cool traversal methods, but at the end of the day, all it is fucking catching Pokemon and doing stupid shit with them to fill a Pokedex up? Is that what this goal is? Is this all there is? And I'm like, how long is this going to take to get boring? That's my whole concern, is how much is there in this game? Is there a story going? It's Pokemon, so it's not going to be a good story. So is there going to be a story running through it? Because the lore and all that stuff...
I can't wait to see prehistoric Team Rocket.
I mean, we've basically seen... Is it Team Galactic was Gen 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The research group that you're working for is like the Galaxy Research Group or something. In this one, so I assume that this is a precursor to where all the galactic people got their inspirations from. But you know, I think it's super interesting seeing a Pokemon region like hundreds of years before it's properly developed and having this whole lore around it and stuff like that. I think it's super interesting, but I'm like, from a gameplay perspective, what is going to be the loop? Because I assume there's no gyms. I assume that they weren't 4,000 years ago handing out stupid fucking participation badges and going, oh, go to the league. Like, I'm sure you're not going to walk up to Arceus at the end and go, I got 8 gym badges, Arceus, you're going down.
There's a little
It's
rocks
time to
with
fight
smiley
God.
faces on them.
It's time to fight God, yeah. But I'm interested in seeing how it works. There's some interesting stuff in the trailers.
Mhm.
Did you want to, Hunter, quickly, before we wrap up, do the fucking graphics thing? Do we want to do this?
I mean, sure, I guess.
Go on,
Could be
then.
a fun discussion.
We'll do the... Go on, tell us what sparked the whole situation while I have a drink, because my throat's dry.
Oh, right. So I saw this meme earlier this week that was like, it's like the dude winning at a sports competition and getting third place on the podium and egregiously celebrating is the meme template, and it was the word graphics on it, and then like 70 different elements in video games ahead of it. And just the discourse around the Pokemon trailer seemed to make that hilariously appropriate in one form or fashion this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to my friends as a joke, and it actually sparked a fun discussion about, you know, how important these elements are to different kind of games.
Yeah, we
So-
don't have fun here, so we're gonna have a very serious friendships will be ruined. Now this all stemmed from an
One of
ego
us
rap-
won't come back next week.
Fingers crossed, it's me. I need a week off.
Imagine if the Scarlet Nexus episode goes up next.
Just be like, Ethan's gone. He disagreed with us, so he's gone, guys.
07's in the comments for Ethan.
We
Yeah.
dealt with him.
We don't. Finally, he's gone. Peace and quiet. But no. It all stemmed from this Ego Raptor tweet, right? I'm fine with calling stuff out because you
Yeah.
know, Ego Raptor said a tweet about how game looks pee pee poo poo. Those were the exact words, guys. No,
I
it was
think
like,
the exact words was it looks like it was a PS3 launch game.
which it does, by the way. I just want to throw out that as a completely valid fucking comment. It does
There
look
might
like
be
a
a
launch
little
PS3
bit more
game.
color in this than there is a PS3 game.
Have you seen how washed out the Pokemon engine is nowadays, dude? Have you seen? That's like one of my main criticisms with the Pokemon games is like pump in some color, guys. Like I don't know why, but like you've seen the Wild Area in Sword and Shield, Cal. It's so like monotone. Like for some reason, it's got a
It's very-
grayscale filter on it.
Sorry, it's very barren.
And I know it's England, but there's still color in England, guys. Trust me.
They kind of fixed it with what's it, Crown Tundra, the 2 DLCs, but yeah, it's sad they never went back to fix the wild area.
But now Arceus kind of looks about that way as well. It's like, you know, let's look at Breath of the Wild. Even though it's mainly grassy fields, there's the pops of colour in the grass is like bright green and the skies have this nice tone to it. And even though the buildings look drab, you've got the plants and the foliage and all the weird stuff like the Guardians contrasting that to make it like
Yeah,
kind
you
of
can
pop
definitely
more.
look around in Breath of the Wild and see areas where it looks different for sure.
Whereas Arceus, the grass on the ground looks kind of greyish because the sky looks grey because it looks like they've put a grey filter all over it. And I'm like, man, come on, Game Freak, add some contrast. I like how in Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, everyone was like, turn the contrast down. And then Arceus, I'm like, turn it up. Take the contrast you took from that and chuck it in here. But Amigraptor made a tweet where it was like, it looks terrible. It looks like a launch PS3 game, which to be fair, maybe not a launch PS3 game, but it very much does look like a PS3 game. I think you cannot say that it doesn't because it does. There are games. Mario Kart 8 that came out in 2014 looks miles better than this, and I'm like, come on, it's been 7 years. One, give us a new Mario Kart, but two, make it look nicer.
Just
and
go
then-
knock on Monolith Soft's door and see if they'll give you some help.
Yeah. And then all of the jabronis on Twitter then came marching up to the gates with their pitchforks and their fucking fire torches and were like, huzzah, graphics are shit, hear ye, and started barging down the Egoraptor castle trying to burn it to the ground. That's a fact. This is fact. This is historical.
Historical fact.
This is
Take
historical
notes,
fact.
everyone. Egoraptor has a castle.
He does, and everyone went to go and burn it down, and I can guarantee that they were not keeping their social distancing regulations in check. They were too busy yelling at each other. But it brought up this interesting discussion that I feel like everybody in the Nintendo Switch ecosystem has every fucking 2 months.
Week.
As they try to justify their tablet that they own. Like, you know. It's fine to admit, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's fucking fair enough to admit that the Nintendo Switch is underpowered and is like way less spec'd than a PS5 or a PS4 or whatever because it's a tablet. Yeah. It's a little portable handheld console. I'm not expecting miracles here. I'm not expecting. Where's my ray tracing 4K 60 FPS, Nintendo? Not expecting
at
it.
the Switch's heart, it is a handheld.
Yeah. And, I'm expecting stuff to look worse than PS4. I'm expecting things to take cutbacks, right? I'm not expecting these masterpieces or whatever. But people seem to think that when someone says, oh, that game looks a bit rough on Switch, it's like a personal attack. And then they're like, I'm offended. Nintendo's my life. Graphics don't mean everything. And I just like to say, my personal opinion on the whole graphics don't mean anything is... You're a fucking dumbass if you say that, not because graphics mean everything, but that's like saying, oh, controls don't mean anything in a video game. If one piece of the video game puzzle is out, the whole thing comes crumbling in. It's like saying, oh, the game engine doesn't matter, guys. The game engine doesn't matter. It's just fine. It's just fine. People seem to think the art style is everything, right? And I don't think people understand how, like, interlinked everything is. Like, I feel like people think that art style is everything. And I don't know, you guys always seem to talk about how important art style is. And art style, very important. But I've heard sometimes you say art style over graphics, right? When you mean that, do you just mean the idea of what gamers think graphics are?
So when I would say that, yeah, it's kind of like when someone says good graphics in a video game, typically I'm thinking the cutting edge of what looks realistic at the time.
Okay.
Not necessarily visually pleasing in every regard. Because, yeah, so I guess a good comparison would be to get the art style thing. If they would have done a good graphics in the way that I just described version of Wind Waker with the technology that they had at the time, then it wouldn't look as good today as Wind Waker does now. So I think in art style, if you use it cleverly enough, will make your game look better than if you just go for the bleeding edge of what looks good these days. I think it helps with aging more than anything else and helps you stand out.
And I get that. But art style is an art... I hate
what I mean,
term,
and I'm not saying that doesn't exist, because the art style for these like Call of Duties and stuff is just generic hyper-realism. Hyper-realism is the term you would attach to that.
Which is a love or hate art style, right? But it's like, if you're talking about graphics in that term, then yeah, obviously art style matters, but that's not what graphics is. And I feel like this is games media's fault. Not even necessarily game developers' fault. I think this is more like the media's fault, where they talk about graphics and they're like, oh, Battlefield 2042 has the next level of graphics or whatever, where it's like, it doesn't matter how good your art style is. If your graphics are shit, it's not gonna fucking work. It's like, even an 8-bit engine, everyone's seeing good uses of 8-bit and lower spec stuff and bad uses. Like, look at fucking E.T., right? E.T. is an 8-bit game, right? Is it an 8-bit game or is it lower than 8-bit? I assume it's 8-bit. Because I don't know. I think you can't go lower than 8, right?
I think that's what Atari ran on, yeah.
Yeah, right, Like, E.T. is an 8-bit game, right? Isn't the NES also 8-bit?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Mario, then. Let's compare them. E.T., Mario, right? Same hardware, right? But it's not just art style that did that. It was also the graphical capabilities and the fact that probably Nintendo had a better engine and better knowledge of the hardware because they made the hardware.
Yeah.
It's not just necessarily that E.T. had shit art style. It was like, even like... or
it's like, with the creation of Mega Man on NES, like... I think his name's Keiji Inafune.
Yeah, that's the guy.
He deliberately chose blue for Mega Man because blue had more colors to choose from, which meant he could get a more detailed Mega Man sprite.
Yeah. Which is like, also, again, great art style, but also it was the fact that it was like great use of the graphics engine that was available to them that they created. It's like Sonic, man. Honestly, say what you want about like Nintendo Sega Fight or whatever, but this is like fact. Fucking Sonic looked way better than Mario. Like, look at Sonic now. Like, look at the old Sonic games. And you're like, damn, Sonic still looks good now. Like, if someone made like a 2D platformer in the old retro kind of aesthetic and they made Sonic, I'd be like, fucking GG. I think you made like the best looking 16-bit platformer you could possibly make, because those games look hot. I look at stuff like Mario World, I'm like, yeah, it looks great, but it's got nothing on Sonic. Like, I'm like, that shit good. And it's like, I really hate the idea of everyone using the term graphics to mean realism, because that's not what graphics is.
Yeah, that's more of a problem with how people have been using the word.
Yeah. And I hate how when people also use art style to mean good, to mean not real.
Stylized.
Because I'm like, everything has an art style, everything has a graphic system. It's like, when Egoraptor says Pokemon Legends Arceus has terrible graphics, it's fucking true, but it also has it's also it does have terrible graphics on to look at it.
No.
Nintendo Switch
I
game,
know what you
it
mean.
does. But I'm talking about its art style hasn't matched with what they've created on the engine, right? They probably have. Like, Pokemon always has really cool concept art and really great looking key visuals.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a transition of art style not melding well to the engine and what they've ended up creating, probably because Game Freak's been rushed to death because the Pokemon company doesn't like them spending time on video games, apparently.
Well, it's that, and they have to be ready for like the anime and the card games and every other piece of media they have.
Yeah, but Arceus is released in January. As if like that,
Yeah.
yes, Pokemon month, January, everybody. Like, what Rise and Grind game is it's January, time to get Legends Arceus. It's just, is it dumb to be like, game looks terrible? Yeah, sure, whatever, right? Someone's work. But at the same time, it's also stupid to say graphics aren't everything, it's always about art style, because it's like, art style and graphics are so intertwined. It's like you are essentially saying graphics don't mean anything because of graphics. It's like, well done, dude. You've played yourself. You have literally just played yourself. Like, I don't know. It's just so dumb to me. And it's like, yeah, graphics aren't like a game can play well regardless, and that's doesn't necessarily matter, should I say, if a game looks like the best thing ever, right? It's like Scarlet Nexus could look like a PS3 game, and if it was made on PS3, people would probably still love it, right? But I don't know why we keep using Scarlet Nexus as the example of I think
Persona 5 is a PS3 game.
Yeah, and it looks great. And Royal came out at the end of the life cycle, and no one was thinking, "Oh, this looks particularly PS3."
Yeah.
But that's a good use of art style, and also knowing the limitations of the hardware and creating something that matches that equally. That's a good use of graphics and art design. You've got to use them both together in a good way.
I feel like Nintendo, a lot of their games are good at figuring out how to do that. Like, Yoshi's Woolly World, I guess, is an example. I think that game had a cool little aesthetic for it, even if it wasn't, like, a technical powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go... I just hate the idea of separating art style and graphics, because they're one and the same in a lot of ways. It's like, I don't know what to really say. It's like Yoshi's Woolly World. If you say Yoshi's Woolly World has a great art style, I'm like, yeah, you're true. But then if someone was like, Yoshi's Woolly World has terrible graphics, I'm like, you basically just, what are you doing? Have you looked at only the concept art then? What the fuck are you playing here? Like, what is this? Did you just go, that's some good art direction, but it looks shit? I'm like, how? Like, it's kind of like one and the same. I don't know. I just don't get it. Like, just either say that you don't like the look of a video game, or don't do this whole fucking half-assed dance where you're like, it has a good art style but looks like ass. There's also a difference between graphics and a game running terribly. Also want to throw that one out. For example, Xenoblade 2 looks gorgeous, but it runs like ass. There's a difference. Has great art style, has great visuals. Graphics, sometimes blurry, but hey, it runs like ass, but we love it anyway. But I wanted to get that rant out of the way because, man, I hate all you fucking idiots on the internet that keep screaming on Twitter. Telling you.
Just stop filling my timeline with stupid.
You watch one video essay and everyone's game developers, dude, like, genuinely. And it's like... It's like, damn, just respect video games. You just like it or don't play it. Just stop screaming and stop trying to act like everyone knows better than anyone. Please. And while I say that, I know more than you. I'm better. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Come back next week.
Come back next week because I know more about video games. No. I think that's it. Are we good? Is that everything we came to talk about?
I think so.
I feel like we've done
bullied
enough
every fan
podcasting
base
this
we
week.
wanted to.
We bullied the JRPG fans. We bullied Wario Nintendo fans. We bullied the Pokemon fans.
Anyone else? Did we meet our quota for the week?
Yeah.
Alright, someone say something mean about Xenoblade 1.
No need.
Gameplay bad.
Gameplay bad. Game bad. Bad. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Button Valley out of 10.
Exactly. But no, with that, our links are on screen right now. Be sure to follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with everything that we do individually and all that. kind of stuff. And hey, if you want to keep up to date with everything on the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/HotGamersOnly. And hey, if you want to just listen to us insult you instead of looking at us while we insult you, you can go to your favorite podcast service, search for Hot Gamers Only, or head to the link tree in the description where you can find us on podcast services. It takes the sting out if you don't have someone looking you in the eyes while they do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at me when I insult you. Look me in the eyes. Pokemon isn't that good, kids.
Please play another RPG.
There's plenty of good ones.
There are.
Yeah. But no, with that, I guess that's been our show. Thank you so much for listening / watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.